Let's get to this. Major free speech concerns over Scotland's new hate crime law. It makes it a crime to say something insulting about someone's age, disability, religion, sexual orientation, or transgender identity. So if you misidentify someone, that's a hate crime in Scotland. That comes with a maximum sentence of 7 years in prison. What if you can't tell the difference? What if it's an accident? Harry Potter, author J.K. Rowling, dared Scottish police to take action. She posted, if they go after any woman for simply calling a man, I'll repeat that woman's words and they can charge us both at once. Rowling added, freedom of speech and belief are at the end in Scotland if the accurate description of biological sex is deemed criminal. Jimmy Fallon called out the hypocrisy. Let's watch.
If the speech is controlled, as are the people. So for that reason, I applaud this all the way. And again, this is the tolerance crowd once again telling you that they will imprison you for disagreeing with them, which if anybody wants to Google tolerance, I promise you it doesn't involve imprisoning the people who disagree.
A new opinion piece with this headline, Scotland's idea of hate speech can't be accepted in the U.S. Is this a slippery slope, Kerri?
Oh, yes, and I would argue it's already happening in the U.S. In Colorado, do you remember the baker, Masterpiece Cake Shop baker who won a case at the Supreme Court a few years ago? Well, the state of Colorado has continued to persecute him, specifically with respect to him refusing to bake a transgender celebration cake. This is an ongoing case that's still happening in the state of Colorado. The Colorado Supreme Court has agreed to hear it. It was a transgender activist who asked Jack Phillips to bake that cake for him, and on top of it, also asked for a cake of Satan smoking marijuana. Jack Phillips is a devout Christian, said baking these cakes and using speech and expression in this way would violate his conscience and his beliefs. And he has been penalized for this, and now he's back up at the court again.
Wait a minute. Are they targeting him over and over again?
Yes, and this particular activist even said, and this is documented, that they submitted this request to, quote, correct the errors of his thinking. So when people are looking at what's happening in Scotland, I would say, well, take a look at what's happening in Colorado, because it's not that dissimilar.
So, you know, I always think about the danger when we make so much out of something that isn't actually what it is. So what about real hate crimes in Scotland or real hate crimes in America where people, you know, get killed, they get brutalized, so on and so forth? How does misgendering someone, calling a man, even though he may be dressed up as a woman, how is that equal?
Right. And to your point, hate crimes were traditionally understood, at least in this country, with some of the awful things that we happened during segregation, the civil rights movement, the KKK and all that, and awful, awful things. Some of the anti-Semitic attacks that we've seen over the last year in our own country, which has shocked, I think, a lot of us, not even realizing this was happening here in the U.S. And these are obvious examples of hatred. But saying that a biological man is a biological man, and somehow the government construing that as hate is just, it's wild. And that's the concerning aspect of these laws. And it's not just in Scotland. You see this has been a trend that's emerged across Europe. And again, where it happens in the U.S. is in the context of these local anti-discrimination laws.
Wow. Well, I guess they'll come after journalists next, because every time we do those stories about women and girls sports and biological boys and men in them, I guess I would be thrown in prison for 7 years, because I'm not going to lie by telling the truth in that story. So journalism is next. We'll watch it.